So just to recap, we've been looking at the GROW model in our last session, and we've spoken about the SMART model which lies ahead of us. And what we're going to do though is now get into what I call the IKEA model. Now, I hasten to add, this is not the company IKEA's career assessment model. This is my career assessment model. It's just a very handy acronym to take us through some steps of self-reflection. And then later on, we're going to have a look at what I call the map. It's about your roadmap. It's something that has to be linked and intrinsic to your SMART goals. It's about meaning and purpose. So that's what we're going to go into later on. But for now, we're going to go and have a look at the IKEA model. Very quickly, again, the GROW model: goal, reality, options, and will. And since you've talked about your goals before this session, with the IKEA model, we start to look at reality. So here's the IKEA model. Very straightforward. Interests: what do you know? What have you done? And what have you achieved? So what are your interests? What is your knowledge? What is your experience? And what are your accomplishments or your achievements? Or if you feel that you don't have those, think about your aptitudes, the things you know you can do well, which just haven't resulted in born fruit yet. What is it that interests you? Not only what interests you at work, but what interests you at home, what interests you in your community, what interests you as a dynamic in the workplace. What do you watch and look at and think about? Do you observe politics, or do you observe bad behavior in leadership, or are you looking at the good behavior in leadership, or always looking in your profession for the latest thinking in the marketplace and in your industry? Or are your interests outside of work just as strong when you're looking at community development or disaster relief, or you like to take care of some or other cause in the community, whether you be interested in animal rescue or the care of children in deprived areas? Are you assisting, as I'm looking at, being an assistant lock keeper on the river on the weekend? What is it that interests you, and why does it interest you in particular? Why do you like climbing mountains? Not just because it's there, but why do you spend time as a bird watcher, collecting butterflies, walking on the beach, collecting certain types of shell? What is it that interests you, but why does it interest you? So what do you know? As they say, what do you know? What? Right, so here's a classic kind of exam question, but an opportunity for you to prepare for it is: what experience do you have? Tell us about when you had the following happen to you. What did you do about it, and what was the result? That's something called the bar, the background, the action you took, and the result. There's another one called the star, which is very similar in terms of what was the situation, what actions did you take, what was the result. So here it's about experience. And for people who've never had a job, then fear not, because you need to just dig deep and have a look at what experience you gained in certain activities in school, college, university, graduate, postgraduate, in your community as a volunteer. What experience have you had? And now you're trying to get into the job market and you're competing against a lot of people. The same is true if you're trying to get back into the job market, whether you have been off taking care and raising family, or whether you had the misfortune to be redundancy, or your job was redundant during the pandemic, whether you took time off as a sabbatical or to go and study, and now you're trying to come back into this rather tight job market, or you're inside the corporation, you're wanting to accelerate that project management career, which is what we're really here talking about. So you're wanting to look at what experience do you have, because let's just say you are a project manager in your organization, but you're stagnating where you are. You're not getting through that glass ceiling, or, are you held back because the person above you in the reporting line is not speaking well of you, doesn't like you, isn't seeing you at your best? And maybe you feel you aren't operating at your best. And that's why, again, you're doing this course. And so you need to have a look at what experience do you have that you should be leveraging to distinguish yourself in the best sense of that word, to be distinct, but to be distinguished. And people get to know you because of your subject matter expertise in something, because you've been there and you've done that and you've got the t-shirt. And you can take that and add it to your knowledge and your aptitudes and your general attitude, and stand out and go to other parts of the business and not be reliant on somebody in your upline, but to be able to go elsewhere. And you may have had experience in another field because of a project you were on that was outside of your particular department. So what experience have you had outside of work, inside of work? What skills has it helped you to develop? What kind of insights has it helped you to develop? Right. So now we're talking about achievements or accomplishments, and later we can use this A for aptitudes and attitude. But for now, let's have a look at your achievements or your accomplishments. And to not be shy in and of yourself. You might think, well, it wasn't an achievement because I didn't get a certificate or a trophy or an acknowledgement or a mention at the conference or whatever it might be. But maybe it's an achievement that that others in your team may have had the same achievement. So as a team, you have achieved something. Or is it also that softer word of accomplishment? Is it where you feel you have risen above yourself in certain ways and accomplished something that you don't think you could have under normal circumstances? Accomplishment can be outside of work, related to your studies or related to a hobby, a certain level of capability or competency in martial arts. You got to your black belt, your first, second, third dan. You were in a weightlifting competition. You're a runner and you're a marathon runner and you achieved a personal best at something. Your accomplishments can be very tangible or intangible. For some people, it can be that they've become far more active than they used to be. Maybe they feel that they've lost some weight that they needed to lose, or they've put on some weight that they needed to gain. Many things which are inherently satisfying and rewarding, and then the other things which are really recognized and just, I feel, sort of more achievement, because some people are achievement and recognition driven. So that's why this is achievements and accomplishments, particularly when we talk in a later module about that map and that meaning and purpose, and how that then becomes one of those inherent motivators. That my message being, as we go forwards in the course, is when we look at the IKEA and the interest you have, the knowledge you have, the experience and the accomplishments or the achievements or the aptitudes, what does that give you as that person going into the job market or into your particular path as a project manager? And let's be frank with ourselves, Maybe this exercise has said to you, you're not a project manager, or you're not a project manager in this particular company or this particular industry. Maybe it's revealed that you're in a non-profit, but you should be in a for-profit organization because that's what drives you. Or you're in a profit-driven organization and actually you should be in a not-for-profit organization. You could be saying, I want to go and be a project manager in the community as a volunteer. Or you're a project manager who doesn't want to be a project manager anymore, but has realized it's something you want to do within your organization. And that's the point of this course. That's the point of this IKEA model, this non-scientific self-appraisal. There are tools out there for appraisal, but this one is finding out that which resonates with you as you are sort of going through these exercises. So I have a very simple non-scientific exercise for us to do next.